Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we'll be taking a look at the long range, and we'll be taking a look at winter thoughts this year. So what I think is valid is past 240 hours is past the long range, I would say. And at this new 18Z GFS shows a storm off the east coast going towards the north as a cold front is dipping down into the eastern part of the US. The storm gets shoved off into the Canadian Maritimes, and then it shows a big cold air dipping down into the US right around Halloween and sticking around until October 30th. And then you see there's a cold front coming up again, getting ready to dip down. It's not the first time that has showed this. It showed this actually multiple times, but it is too far out. See, it had a little storm in the northeast. It had almost snow in New York City. Almost. Not yet, but almost. If we take a look at the monthly outlook, it doesn't show much. It usually shows above average temperatures for the most part of the US, but interestingly enough, it shows about average chances for average temperatures for the month of December in the Midwestern states, which is kind of interesting. And then even more interesting, in January it shows well below average temperatures in the Midwestern states. And then it slowly shifts out to the west and stuff. But by April, it could be a neutral look. The water temperatures right now, off the Alaskan coast and the western coast, is really above average, especially off of Washington. It is really above average. You can see we have a La Nina out off of South America. And then it's mostly warm out in the Atlantic. Nothing too surprising. This is the Weather Channel's winter outlook right here. As you can see, up in the northern states of the US, it's mostly below average, not a big portion of it. But I really don't agree with this map. It shows a big range of above average temperatures, which won't happen. Especially, needs to go back into Florida. This needs to be dragged down a lot. Everything, I just don't agree with this. The only thing I could agree with is the December outlook. It shows troughing in eastern part of the US, warm out in the southern and western part of the US, but this cold air needs to be extended northward into the New England states. And it shows January is just a mess and above average temperatures. Much above average temperatures in the southern part of the US, even almost into the mid-Atlantic states. Above average part, at least 3/4 of the country, and then near average or slightly above. The only tiny bit of near or slightly below average is in Montana. And then in February, it doesn't get much better for the heat. I do not agree with that whatsoever. If you have a typical La Nina, this is what you usually have. A blocking high out in the west coast, drier and warmer conditions in the south. In the northwest, you have weather conditions, and then the cold air dips down because you have a blocking high, forcing the cold air from the Antarctic all the way down into the US and Canada. If we take a look at the weekly outlook, we see there's a big cold pattern coming up for the Midwest and northern part states of the US. The 7-day temperature shows really cold average, really below average temperatures. Some parts a -9 degrees below average. That is very cold, especially for this time of the year. As we move on, it doesn't change really. It's part of the western and northern part of the US, even dipping down into Texas. There's going to be a ridge out in the eastern part of the US trying to force back the cold, but eventually loses out and the cold air dips into the eastern part of the US. And then afterwards, it doesn't know. It's very far out. Let's see what the European shows. European shows a cold air, like the GFS, in the Midwest, and then slowly coming down into across almost 3/4 of the US. You still have that big ridge out in the eastern coast, and it finally decides to let go. And then it winds back up for even colder air coming down. It's still, the ridge comes back, reforms, even tries to go up into Canada. And then finally, as time goes on, it relaxes and the cold air finally comes down into the eastern part of the U.S. At least with the hero shows, it even wants to bring another round of cold air. That'll be it for today, guys, and I hope everybody has a good day and stay safe.